Thanks for the support as a channel member, Jack Watson. Exciting news, boys and girls. I've reached 2014 and finally started a Discord. I know it's the third time I've tried to start a Discord, but I've actually done this one properly and I promise to use it. If you want to join the Discord, the link is down in the description below. And you can come and say hello to old Kev, and it will be lovely. Hello and welcome to Club 6, Part 7 of Non-League to Legend. I'm Kevin. Coming up on today's episode, we have a La Liga game away against Granada and a Champions League first knockout round game away against Wolfsburg. Since you were last with me, quite a lot has gone on. We almost lost a game against Real Madrid in the Copa del Rey semi-final first leg, but luckily managed to force ourselves back into it. We also had another example of Laszlo Banfalvi just being an absolute hero with a 94th minute winner against Real Sociedad when we were down to 10 men. But other than that, we are still in excellent form. This is what the league table looks like, and we are starting to pull clear a little bit at the top of the league. 6 points clear of second place Real Madrid, 14 points. Yes, 14 points clear of third place Sevilla. Atletico, I don't know what's gone on with them this year, but we're 19 points clear of them. And I think they've won this more recently than we have. No, they haven't. It's been 4 years. It was when Harry Kane was still playing for them. That explains that. Mbappe and Leonard are the two top scorers in La Liga. Mbappe, Vermonti, Banfalvi, the three best players in the league. Mbappe's up there for top assists. He was a good signing for £45 million. I know he's 34 now, but even if this is the only good season we ever get out of him, I think he's been a good signing. Let's have a look at his progress. I mean, you can see we're in decline in some areas anyway. I can't see those individual lines. My colour blindness ruins me. But he's declining physically, but nothing else. And at the moment, the physical decline isn't a major issue because he's still really fast. So I guess he'll keep you losing a yard of pace here and there, and he's not going to be around forever, but he might be around long enough for us to be able to win everything here at Barcelona and move on and let it be someone else's problem. The other big news is Philippe Leonard eventually decided he was happy to stay. No more offers came in. Man United and PSG still interested in him, but importantly, he's no longer interested in them. So we have no unhappy players on the books. The only one who was, we used to raise a little bit of money. Diakité was out on loan. He was still a little bit grumpy, so we called him back and sold him to Ajax. Problem solved. And Navilo, the young wonder kid that we've got, has gone out on loan for the rest of the season to Borussia Mönchengladbach just to get some game time into him. He wasn't playing enough for us, so he can go and get some game time for them, which seems to make sense to me. Oh, and Sid went on loan to Tottenham as well as part of the transfer window because it allowed us to get Gillane back into the Champions League squad because he was missing out and was grumpy about that. So a little bit of shuffling around has made everybody happy, and we're still doing really rather well in all competitions. This is the team for the game against Granada. You can see we've got a little bit of a suspension issue going on with both Hendricks and Posibon suspended for this game. I think we've also got different suspensions as we head into the Champions League. We've been ruffians at various points this season, but we're going with Bajic in goal, a back four of Messias, Paredes, Banfalvi and Berisic. Powell's at the base of the midfield because we've got a Champions League game in like 3 days. We've got to give this boy game time. This feels like a game where you give him game time and rest for Monty, who is now 29 years old. You know, he's getting old. And we've got a youngster who might end up being better than him, who did score an absolutely stunning goal for us. In fact, can I find the goal he scored? That goal. Let's go and look at this goal. This is what we've got to look forward to in the future from this lad. I think this is the goal. It was another game where we've brought him in, play him at the defensive midfield. He got the man of the match and did this as well, 20 minutes in. So it's an Mbappe corner, which I think is cleared to the edge of the area, and Powell picks it up somewhere around here and just sticks it into the back of the net from well out. That kid is going to be good. Vermonti needs to watch his back, despite being my very good friend Vermonti. He's got a young pretender who's going to come in and try and take his spot. So Powell's, Barrow and Gillane in midfield. Gillane's a centre-back, I hear you say. He is, but he's also an accomplished midfielder. And with De Jong retiring and no sign of of any more money in January to bring in another central midfielder, he's going to have to learn to play in other positions. Let's face it, he's not going to get into this team ahead of Paredes or Banfalvi. So if he can be a rotation option at the back and in midfield, that might be good for him. And with Hendricks suspended, he can have a game there and see how he gets on. He's played there a couple of times for us now. Doesn't look disastrous. So it's just another little option for us to have. And then Hudson-Odoi and Mbappe behind Leonard up front, as Leonard and Mbappe continue to compete with each other to be top scorer in the league for this season, which is, it's a nice little competition for us to have internally, and for Mbappe to be keeping pace with him from out wide as well is marvellous. Of course, he is playing as that Raumdeuter, which I have learnt apparently means wide poacher or something along those lines. So he's basically a striker playing out on the wing. Right. I expect nothing but a win. I do expect nothing but a win. Where are Granada in the league? Granada are down in 17th place. I absolutely expect a win from this game. Hudson-Odoi with the free kick. I didn't see who that was at the far post. I couldn't pick out the name against the advertising boards. It was somebody at the far post. It might have been Ghislaine, actually. I think there was a G in there. I'm not used to him being in the team, so I struggled to pick out his name, but I'm guessing that's who it was. But either way, it didn't end up in the back of the net, so let's not worry, eh? Leonard sprays it out to the left for Hudson-Odoi to chase. He's got options inside of him. He finds one of them in the shape of Barrow. What is going on here? Have we got a penalty? The game just kind of stopped just as Leonard was going to step up and tuck it into the back of the net. So now Mbappe gets to step up to tuck it in the back of the net, which will put him... Oh, it doesn't put him level with Leonard again because it's saved. Not only saved, but caught. Imagine being one of the best players in... one of the best players in history at this point in this save. He's won the Ballon d'Or like 5 times. Got to consider him one of the best players of all time. And you're a goalkeeper for a relegation-threatened team, and you catch his penalty. That's the sort of thing you have a framed photograph of above your toilet for the rest of your life. That's a moment for that goalkeeper. Berisic now plays it back to Paredes. I'm assuming there's some kind of an attack coming here, or we wouldn't be seeing the highlight. Messias plays it forward to Hudson-Odoi, sprays it across to Mbappe, who I'm not really sure what he's aiming to do there. It's like he was nodding it down to Leonard, but Leonard was 20 yards away from him, and it's left us under a little bit of trouble on the counter-attack here, and Bajic is there to make the save, and that's the first shot of the game for Granada. And we need to be a little bit careful. We can't get too overconfident in games like this, because we've got Banfalvi's unbeaten record in domestic football to think of. We almost lost it in the Copa del Rey semi-final, but managed to claw it back. I'm not that bothered if it becomes an unbeaten league run, that's fine, but I like it being an unbeaten domestic football run across 2 different countries. Ghislaine has been fouled there on the edge of the area, and it's a red card. That was a second yellow, wasn't it? Because that was far too harsh to be a straight red. But it does change things up a little bit for Granada, and should mean that in the second half we should go and have some happy fun time and score some goals. Right, let's assertively say, far from pleased with what I've just seen, because we should be ahead in the game. Bajic is upset about the team talk, understandably, because he's had a half-decent first half. Berisic has now picked up an injury, though. Krajew's only just returning from injury himself and is having to be thrust back into the team a little earlier than I would have liked. Mbappe is being punished for his penalty miss. I don't think he's necessarily playing a 5.9, but when you miss a penalty, the game punishes you, and at that point, the only thing to do is take the player off. We're going to bring Correa on to play on that right-hand side. In fact, we're going to play Correa on the left-hand side, and Hudson-Odoi can have a rare outing for us as a winger. Something he used to do for my Spurs team quite a lot, and for England, but I don't know that I've played him on the right-hand side for Barcelona yet. He's fully set up as an inside forward, and there is Leonard's 30th goal of the season. It's taken a long time to get to this, and it had to be a set piece where we get the breakthrough. I wonder if this is the lack of Vermonti pulling all the strings that's costing us in our attacking play today. But Leonard always has that little bit of extra quality, doesn't he, in situations like that. Puts us 1-0 up, and that should be relatively straightforward from here. Correa has now picked up a knock as well, and with the Champions League on the horizon, we're just going to take him off. We don't want to risk him. So Gila can come on and play on that left-hand side. We've got 2 goalkeepers on the bench because our squad is getting so thin at the moment with these injuries and suspensions that we're getting. And we're just picking up more and more all the time. So I think if anything does end up costing us this season, it's going to be just how small our squad has gotten. Obviously, taking Sid out of it isn't ideal, but we couldn't fit everyone in the Champions League squad, so we had to make some kind of consideration for that. And we just need more bodies in. I think if we don't manage to win everything this year, I mean, I'm not necessarily waiting for a Champions League win with Barcelona before we move on, but I think it might be nice. But if we do fail this season, I think it's going to be strength in depth and playing too much football with too small a squad, too small an ageing squad as well. That's going to be the problem, because if you look the amount of players we've got who are in their 30s, it's very much not like me to have them all. Barrow, Hudson-Odoi, Mbappe, De Jong. These are all players who, they're not just in their 30s, they're well in their 30s. And I think we're probably only halfway through a rebuild job here at Barcelona at the moment, but we've managed to do enough to get ourselves back to probably being the best team in Spain again. But whether or not that's going to translate to the Champions League knockout rounds, I guess we're going to start finding out in the second half of this episode. Krajju doing a decent job there of skipping past his man and waiting to be fouled for the penalty, and the foul didn't come. So we end up with a corner, and it's Gila with the corner. Banfalvi's there, and it goes just over from Banfalvi, who, as ever, very much a threat from these set pieces, and didn't quite manage to stick it in the back of the net this time. But they're all over the place, Granada. I can't believe it's only 1-0, because that goal kick, there was just none of their players anywhere nearby. Gila's done brilliantly there. It falls to Ghislaine on the edge of the area, who's been tackled there in an unfamiliar position. He's let us down a little bit, but Powell's picks up the mess. Messias has got it. It's back to Powell's again. This is our first proper look at him trying to do Vermonti things. And, I mean, that looked like that could have been Vermonti. That's the first moment where he's looked like he might be him. And Krajju, once again, trying to just dance into the area and draw a foul. In fact, we're going over to the little telly now. Krajju might have done it again. If there is a statistic for most penalties won in a season, you need to let me know down in the comments where I find that statistic, because Krajju must be setting all kinds of records. He used to do it sometimes at Bayern, but obviously at Bayern, he didn't play as many games because he always had Dombrowski and Thumb in his way. No penalty this time. But here, as a first choice regular starting right back, he's won so many penalties for us this year. It's wonderful stuff. He's such a filthy cheat. I love it. Right. It's still only 1-0. This has been a frustrating experience for the 386 Barcelona fans who've made the journey to wherever Granada is. Presumably it's where they make the TV from in the 80s. Messias plays it back to Paredes. Our centre-backs are getting involved in the attack now just to try and make ourselves look a little bit more like Barcelona. Powell's to Ghislaine, back to Powell's again. Ghislaine again, Powell's again. So this time he goes for Messias because he just kept getting the ball back from the other guy. Messias with the cross. Hudson-Odoi's there. There's the second of the game. Hudson-Odoi, an 8th goal of the season for him. He's slowly but surely having a very good season despite not being a regular player for us, or at least a regular starter. 8 goals as a rotation player. Not too bad at all from Hudson-Odoi. He's one who probably does know that he's on the chopping block for the summer, as probably a little bit too old, and it would be nice to bring in a younger O'Hara-shaped option if such an opportunity presents itself to us. But 8 goals from rotation midfield, not too bad. Now, we need these injuries not to be too serious. 2 weeks for Berisic means Krajju's got to start in the Champions League. And Correa is out for a week as well. So he's also at risk of missing that first leg against Wolfsburg, which we will go and play now. Lots of players unavailable for the Champions League then. De Jong is unregistered. I took him out of my Champions League squad to be able to, I think it was to add, it was so that I could add Ghislaine back in, because although we got rid of Sid, that didn't solve the problem because Ghislaine wasn't trained in Spain. Yeah, he wasn't trained in Spain. Came through Anderlecht and Leipzig, so we still had to get rid of a non-trained in Spain player, which De Jong falls into that category because he obviously kept... What age was he when he went to Barcelona? Wrong button, Kev. Never mind. He was older than 18, I dare say. So He's had to drop out of the squad. Banfalvi suspended. Berisic now injured after we saw in the last game. Helder, our backup keeper, is injured. So we've had to draft in a young player to sit on the bench. Fernando Benitez from our B team, who looks like he's a decent player. 14 goals for the B team this season. 4-star potential. So not the worst player to have to draft in. Also Edgar Leon as well is going to be sitting up on the bench, who's a 3-star current ability attacking midfielder with 4-star potential from down in the B team. Again, knocking goals in for fun down there. But of course, we don't play with an attacking midfielder, so not much point, is there? Correa's going to sit on the bench as well. So the back four is now Messias, Paredes, Guillain and Krajju, despite Krajju not being fully fit. Hendricks and Vermont. In fact, the whole midfield has changed. Gilla, Hendricks and Vermonti all coming in midfield. Posibon's going to start on the right-hand side with Mbappe dropping down to the bench. And Hudson-Odoi keeps his spot after his goal in the last game. So we're playing against Wolfsburg, who we know from our Bayern Munich days. I've gone back to saying it that way. That I've been away long enough now. I don't have to say it right anymore. But Porras, of course, is the striker who we signed at Bayern, didn't play, and then sold straight onto Wolfsburg. And of course, Adama in their midfield as well, who we signed for Tottenham. Never really played him, sold him on, and he ended up being one of the best players in the Bundesliga last season, right up there with Vermonti and I guess Banfalvi for highest average. Who is the other one who was competing for Player of the Year with Vermonti and Adama? I forget who it was. I don't know. I'm sure you'll let me know down in the comments. But Wolfsburg are the team that won the Bundesliga the year before we arrived in Germany. So they're not to be sniffed at. They're very much the third team there. And as you can see, they've just gone 1-0 up after 8 minutes. And this is what I was worried about. We've got a team that's really good in La Liga. But how good is it in the Champions League? And we've conceded an early goal there to worry me a little bit. Bajic plays it to Guillain. Of course, the thing you've got to remember is this Barcelona, well, not this Barcelona team, but Barcelona won the Champions League 2 years ago. They faced us in the final when I was at Bayern Munich. So when some of these older players were 2 years younger, this was definitely a European Championship winning team. And of course, we've added 3 of the players from last year's champions in Banfalvi, Vermonti and Krajju. But there are still some players who are getting on a bit. And it's going to be interesting to see how we measure up. I wonder if this might be a year too early for us to win the Champions League with Barcelona, and that might be a reason to stick around for a second year, just to give... I mean, the likes of Banfalvi, Vermonti, these guys deserve more than one Champions League winning medal in their sock drawers after they retire. And it would be nice to do a little collection of trophies as we travel around the world, collecting trophies, doing our expedition of gold all over again, even though we're not calling it that this time because changing the name of the series makes people stop watching. I've learned. We're 2-0 down. What is happening here? We're at Edin Dzeko Park, I've just noticed. Was it always called that? I suspect it probably wasn't. Porras very much involved though. I don't want to see your filthy replay. How on earth are we 2-0 down against a team that my Bayern team would have absolutely smashed? And I was maybe living under the false impression that this team was pretty much as good as my Bayern team were. But maybe that's not the case. Messias has picked up an injury now, which is problematic because we don't have any more spare left-backs knocking around the place. We're 3-0 down. This is not what I was expecting to happen today. Right. Well, it is only the first leg. If we can grab an away goal in this second half, there's ways back into the tie. But I feel a little shell-shocked at what's happened there. Okay. We've got to take him off. I think we're going to have to put Vermonti back to centre-back. A position I've barely played him in, but he can theoretically play. I think he's left-footed, isn't he? He is left-footed. So let's get him on the left-hand side. Make him a ball-playing defender. Paredes can go over to the other side. Guillain's going to have to go out to left-back. Powell's comes on. And I need to absolutely ruin them in this team talk. because that is absolutely not acceptable. And I know there's going to be a few people saying I shouldn't have come here with the attacking system on, but we won the Champions League last year attacking, and there's a very important away goal from Posibon. It's not all over yet, boys and girls. We've still got 40 minutes to add another one, and I think 3-2, or maybe even pulling it back to a 3-3, and then we should be fine. We should be able to overturn that. Just getting an away goal is big, but we've now done it early enough to give ourselves time to hopefully go on and grab another one. Let's continue to demand more and hopefully go and grab a second one, whilst not leaving the door open for Wolfsburg to score again, because a fourth for them does start to make things look really, really tricky. Adama, I tell you what, he's turning into a decent player, isn't he? We saw him on the average ratings in the Bundesliga last year, but sitting there at the base of their midfield, spraying balls around all over the place. Does he remind you of anyone? He obviously learnt from that mentoring group back at Tottenham with Vermonti, Vargas and him in it. He's picking up some traits, or picked up some traits, and turned into a very good deep-lying playmaker, apparently. This isn't ideal. This is poor timing for my tastes. Right, Hudson-Odoi has been rubbish. So Mbappe will come on and play on that left-hand side. I'm tempted to make a third change now, just because we've got to shake things up. But the only one we could bring on is Barrow, really. And I don't want to bring him on yet because I think it weakens the midfield. So let's get creative. I'll stop shouting at them briefly and just try and coax a goal out of them. A second goal, and I'm happier than I was. Kryju trying to win a penalty the way he does, because he's a scumbag and I love it. He's just standing there waiting for someone to foul him, and then nobody did, and he didn't really know what to do. They've scouted him clearly, which is tantamount to cheating as far as I'm concerned, scouting my players. Right, Hendricks is going to come off, Barrow's going to come on, and we're going to have 10 minutes of passion to finish the game if we can get our passion in. There you go, 10 minutes of passion. One more goal, that's what we need. A 3-1, even a 3-2 defeat, conceding 3 goals has shaken me up. But of course, this is 3 goals without Banfalvi, and he will be available for the second leg, which then makes things very different. Kryju trying again to win a penalty. This time, crosses. It's a very unfortunate own goal for a lovely chap called Jeffrey. And I'm a happy camper. 3-2, and I'm now confident that bringing them back to our place in tomorrow's episode, we should be able to fairly comfortably dispatch of Wolfsburg. But my word, are they giving us a fright today? Come on, let's have an equaliser and really, really knock the stuffing out of them before the second leg. It doesn't look like it's coming, does it? 3-2, we can turn this around. But still, it's a first defeat in a long time for us in any competition. It's the first time we've lost since, I think, that league game that we lost when Banfalvi was unavailable. So again, no Banfalvi, we lose. No Banfalvi, we lose. He's played every other game this season and we've not lost them. If we did a similar thing with Bayern, we didn't lose a game at all last season in any competition, I don't think. In fact, no, we lost to Inter in the group stages. I want to see if Banfalvi played, because I keep saying he's not lost a game domestically for however long. Imagine if he's like 3 years not losing a game, full stop. That would be ridiculous. Did Banfalvi play in that game? He did. Okay, so it's only at Barcelona that we can't win without him. And now Chelsea are after Leonard. They can do one. Why would he want to go to Chelsea, when was the last time they won the Premier League? How do I even see that? Oh, because I'm looking at Chelsea, not the Premier. No, not the Champions League. Learn the buttons, Kev. Learn the buttons. Chelsea last won the Premier League. Okay, they're the current holders and they've won it twice in the last 3 years. That's why you'd want to go to Chelsea. Question asked and answered. We play Wolfsburg in the second leg tomorrow. And I guess I'll also show you probably Real Valladolid in the league. I'm not interested in the Copa del Rey. I already showed you the Super Coppa. You don't need too many. Nobody needs that many coppers in their life. If you've enjoyed that, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos. And thank you very much for watching.